Everyone took the test. Everyone passed the test. And that's a beautiful thing. Um, what else are we dealing with? So the season is getting closer. So it's very important that you all check your emails every day. All right. Check your emails every day because something's going to be coming out from supervisors, coordinators, from the NCAA. And a lot of it might require your immediate attention. So I know we got an email today from Debbie and the deadline is tomorrow. So with a lot of stuff, you really don't have time to wait. So make sure you stay on top of that. Make sure all of your information is good on all of your websites. Make sure it's consistent because depending on the protocol of the conferences, they're going to start sending out these COVID tests or these questionnaires or whatever to get the season going. Contracts should be coming out soon if you haven't gotten one. Schedules will probably come out with the contracts. So it's going to require your immediate attention. We're probably going to have to make some travel plans on the fly. So it's really you guys are going to have to be versatile. You're going to have to be ready to go with this thing, like right away. All right.
Hey, Kevin, can you hear me?
I can. And
No, I can't hear you. I can see you, but I'm driving and I'm trying to get the sound on and I cannot hear you. But obviously you can hear me.
yeah. Okay. Well, you be careful driving. How about that? Jen, do you have any housekeeping?
Keep in the rule book, keep in the case book, mechanics, watch yourself, get some mirror practice. It's getting close, guys. I mean, anything that you can do to mentally prepare. And one thing also is that identify where in your city or your location where you might be able to get testing. Don't do anything about it yet, but just know that where you could go if needed. Keep learning, keep talking. That's all I got.
All right. Check your for those of you in the Chicagoland area, check your Walgreens. They do free COVID testing. CVS, they do free COVID testing. You do have to make an appointment for it, but
and wait time, Kev. Talk about wait time too. 72 hours.
Really? Okay, good.
Yeah, it took me. If you go to the little clinic or Walgreens or whatever, it's 72 hours. Possible.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going on Saturday to get tested. Just whatever. So that'll be the second time. 3 that when the season comes around, I can work all of my games and then maybe some of y'all's. Shannon, you laughing?
Not mine.
I'm working. Look, I'm working everybody's games. I don't care. I need some money.
Hey, Kevin, I think your internet's going in and out.
I want to buy a new driver. So who's? Uh-oh. No. Y'all good?
Every once in a while, you just cut out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not talking today anyway, so we're good. Who's presenting, Jen?
Keena and Carolyn.
All right. Do you need an introduction, Keena?
No, we don't need no introduction. Me and Carolyn good. We're ready to go. Hey, Janine, look at my girl over there. What's going on?
Okay.
Hey, I miss everybody on the court though. That's the biggest thing. You miss people, seeing those faces and really cool, interesting people that you meet and definitely, have lifelong friends out of it. That's the tough part, you know. What up? Look at Theo. What up, Theo? Issa, what's happening?
All right, the clock is running, Keenan.
Huh?
The clock is running. It's your ball.
Go ahead,
Let's go.
Carolyn, go. We're talking about fouls, particularly intentional and disqualifying fouls, because we thought those were something that we can dive into, and particularly, you know, you may go the whole season without having a disqualifying foul. You may have an intentional here and there, but you may go, you know, a season without having a disqualifying foul, and then knowing how to adjudicate it, what to do, how to talk to your partners, contacting the signers, obviously, because with something like that, you definitely want to contact the signer. And so we got a couple of clips and stuff we want to show, and just kind of Carolyn, you there? You with me?
I'm with you.
All right, see, let's do it. We're gonna be somebody around
We
here.
got it. We got this.
All right,
Who
go
should
ahead.
I
You
make
got,
the host?
got a clip. Jen, you got him?
Who am I making the host?
I guess, but well, it doesn't matter. Jen has the clips, so
I'm sending them out right now to everybody.
okay, or just play them or whatever. But yeah, go ahead, Carolyn.
All right. So since we are in, Rule 10, what is a foul? And in our definition, in our rule book, a foul is an infraction of the rules that is charged to a player or bench personnel and is personal in various ways. And so like Keenan and I said, we're going to be going over more of intentional and disqualifying a little bit more, because those are the ones that we could go the whole season without, as she mentioned, or, we could get those here and there. So with an intentional foul in our rule book, Rule 10, Section 13, in Article 1, it does go, an intentional foul is a player contact foul for which judgment of the, sorry, I'll just jump in here. A foul which the judgment of an official is, it could be an attempt not on the, not a basketball play. So even when I was reading over this, I think Dee had a really good clip last week, the last clip that she showed with a player on a fast break going up for a layup, and then all of a sudden the player making a non-basketball play for that. So that was definitely be something, go to the monitor, go and review that. Was it actually going for the ball, or was it going for that player? So that's something that you could upgrade to. So, making not making a legitimate attempt on the ball, contact on an opponent, that's an obvious advantage. That's also another way to look at a intentional foul, and contact away from the ball against an opponent who's clearly not involved with the play. So this is definitely a lot of dead ball situations that we can come across. And then contact away from the ball, and then contact an opponent making a throw in. This also can serve as a team warning. We're also reaching through the boundary line with getting the ball, excessive hand or unnecessary contact against an opponent, and then illegal contact causing swinging of an elbow that is deemed as excessive or unnecessary. So whenever an intentional foul does come up, as in our rule book, we all know that 2 free throws are awarded to any team member of the offended team. So everyone thinks it has to be someone who's just on the court, but really it could be someone right on the bench. So if you have someone at the end of the bench that's a 95% free throw shooter, heck, you get in, you go shoot those 2 free throws for us, and then we get the ball at opposite of the scorer's table at the division line. So with the clip that I'm going to show, actually we kind of have a 2-for-1 in this clip that is going to get shown, is where we also have an intentional, but we also have a technical foul that happens as well. And I forgot when Keena and I talked that we had this part. So it's kind of going to be good to just kind of go over the play. So we'll show it all the way once through, and we'll talk about it right after.
Sorry, who is supposed to be the host? I made Jen the host, but Carolyn, do you want to be the host to show
I also have the clip too.
Okay, I'll just make you the host then.
Okay.
My bad.
No.
I do have the clips ready if you need them.
Oh, you do? Perfect. Jen, if you have them up, go right ahead.
Okay.
I have a question. Before we watch this clip, I have a question. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'm driving, so I wasn't sure. If the player subs in just to shoot the free throws, can they be subbed out again before the ball gets put in play, or do they have to play when it gets put in?
The sub can stay in. The sub can come out. It's just it can't be the same sub that replaced the player, unless the opposing team makes a foul or violation. So if 5 gets subbed in to shoot the free throws, 5 can get subbed out after the made second free throw. She just can't be subbed out by the same player she came in for.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Jocelyn, for that.
Are you sure?
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So you want your play first, Carolyn?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So it's a little bit longer of a clip, but like I said, we have two situations that come up in this clip.
Oh, sorry.
And then Jen, you can just stop it right there. I actually clipped it a little too long. Okay, so as you can see in this one, we had black 5 as the both officials in the C and the T are blowing the whistles to stop the play. 5 keeps going after the whistle, and then in Article 1, Section E, for the illegal contact of swinging the elbows is where they did get her on this play. And so that's where they got her for the technical. And then once they were reporting it, obviously the coach wasn't thrilled by it, and then just kind of waved them off, didn't care to listen to them. And then that's where we also had a technical foul as well. So for those that have used a monitor, if you were in that situation, and right now if you came together and talked, how would you go about going to the monitor and reviewing this play?
Hey, Carolyn, sorry to interject. A couple people would like to replay it. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here we go. There you go.
Perfect. Yeah, so anyone can answer this one too, especially be helpful for me since I haven't used Monitor yet. But say if we did have this opportunity where we both came together, or both the C and the T came together and talked about this play, how would you guys go about going to the Monitor to review this play?
Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you never want to have a meeting with officials in the middle of the players.
Mm-hmm.
So when the center and the trail came together, the lead, who was you, right, Carolyn?
Yep.
All right, your job at that point is to clean up the house. So if they're having a meeting, the only other person that's invited is you, not the team. So your job then is to clean up. Hey, go to your bench, ladies. Go to your benches. Get everyone in their bench areas. That way, what's being talked about is between the three of you. Because then there's no ambiguity, because those players, they lie. You know what I mean? That's just the bottom line. They are going to lie, and they're going to run and tell their coach that you said something that's favorable for them. So then when it doesn't happen that way, coach is going to think you lied to them, and that's just something you don't want to deal with. So send everyone to their benches. Send both teams to their benches, and then have a meeting with your partners and say, okay, can we go? Just like Dee said, can we go? What are we going for? We're going for a possible upgrade. All right, we can go for that. So then you have to decide, we're gonna go for a possible upgrade. So, I mean, you have to let the coaches know why you're going. And then if there's a talent, if there's media or anything on the other side, you have to let them know as well. If they're not on the other side, and then don't go looking for them. But if they're there, then you have to tell them why you're going to the Monitor. And then everyone goes and they give their opinion. And then, you come up with the best thing for it. So on this play, they called an intentional foul on the swinging of the elbows, correct?
Yep.
Was there any contact when the elbows were swinging?
From their angle, they said that they saw the elbows swinging, and especially then after they were blowing the whistle, then that's where they saw her kind of go into the white player. Okay,
okay, that's fine. But let's understand, swinging the elbows with no contact is not a foul.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So now that just adds another caveat to when we do go to the Monitor, because we could possibly go to the Monitor and have nothing. Correct?
Correct.
So that's another talk show, Oprah. So what going to the Monitor on this. So we're going for a possible upgrade. So the calling official and the referee will go first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third partner will come in last. And then you guys will meet again. And everyone will give their opinion. And if there's 2 against 1, or 1 and 1 and 1 undecided, then the referee will make the final decision.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, after that, we used to bring the coaches together, but they don't know how to play nice all the time. So now we figure out what penalty we have, how we're going to administer it, and most importantly, where the ball is going to be brought back in. Okay. Now in that, when the ball is brought back in, we have to know what the shot clock should be on. If it should be at 30, it should be at 15. 30 or 20. All of those things are very important.
Absolutely.
And that has to be discussed in that meeting with the officials. So then when you guys break, you won't have to come back together. So like later on in that clip, you were about to administer the free throws, and then you had another meeting with the official. Mm-hmm. Right? So make sure before you leave the scene of the crime, make sure that everything is discussed. All your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted. Make sure everybody has an understanding. And that just makes us look like a well-oiled machine. Like we really know what we're doing. And we even if we kick it, the perception is we know what we're doing and we have everyththing under control.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And thank you for all that. It was, yeah, on this play too, it was even after I watched it and then after hearing everything, you know, with all the players right there, all of a sudden at the time I was like, why do we all meet in the middle? You know, just something like that too, with, you know, getting players cleared out of there. At the time, of course, didn't think about it until watching the clip, but yeah, definitely getting all the information first. So then right away it's smooth. You get the free throws out and then get to the division line, hand in the ball, and then get back into play. Absolutely. So thank you for that. Yeah, so even like, you know, Kevin touched on a lot of it too, just really communication with everyone, making sure everyone's on the same page with that. And then even, you know, since we had a technical and intentional, that's for sure call to your supervisor, just so then they make sure they get the call before the coach does, and even just remembering the time, and even for everyone watching the clip, even if you guys didn't, if you had, you know, one that agreed and one that disagreed, it's just good to get all together, and then also watching that clip after the game to go over everything. So that is all I have for intentional fouls, and then we'll move over to disqualifying fouls.
You guys have any questions so far with the intentional? How many of you guys had intentionals last year? Can you know how many you had? You had any? Anybody? I gotta see a hand. Okay, Shannon. Did you assess it, or one of your partners did?
It was one of my partners, but I think we at least had, or I had in my games one last season.
Okay. Anybody else have any intentional fouls? Rachel, you shaking your head. Did you have any intentionals?
Yeah, I had a couple games with intentional fouls. My partners called it, but I backed them up.
Okay, well, there you go. Unified on the court. That's what it's all about.
Right.
Did you guys all do that? Come to a conclusion? What did you have? What did you have? And then ultimately come up with something and let the coaches know. Cool. There you go. All right. You can always look unified on the court. You can get in a locker room if something else is off, but definitely you want to have a united front on the court. All right. So I got DQs, and I wanted to first start it off by saying a lot of people could get misinformed by the disqualifying foul, because your first can be your last. You don't have to have a technical prior to that to get disqualified. That's not a prerequisite. Well, you didn't give me my other one. No, you can be disqualified right off the bat. So, and definitely we're in Rule 10, Section 14, disqualifying foul. It's any flagrant misconduct by any player or bench personnel. It doesn't have to be just the players on the court, those 5. It can be a contact foul, or it can be a non-contact foul. When it's a contact foul, the contact is judged to be violent and or severe. When it's a non-contact foul, the unacceptable conduct of an individual is judged to be persistent. And those are trigger words that I say that will kind of determine if you're going to consider even a disqualifying foul. And those trigger words are persistent, extreme, vulgar, and or abusive. And it doesn't have to be all of them. You can click one box, and that's good enough for disqualifying. Just to kind of throw out some of the misperception there, because sometimes people think, well, it has to be all of them. No, just one, and that's more than sufficient. And an example could be, again, participate after changing the uniform number without reporting, participates after having been disqualified, all that kind of stuff that's in there. I don't want to read them all to you guys because I don't, that's not necessary, but it's all the things located under Article 1, both A and B, and then it has the penalties. Also, it could be, something that is said. It could be acts that you're demonstrating. It could be a whole combination of those things.
Hey, Keena.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Sure.
It might be stupid, but for the participating after changing her uniform number without reporting, is that like if there's blood on her uniform and they can't get it out, she just changes it, but she just has to tell the table, I'm no longer number 11, I'm 14. Is that what that means?
Yeah, that's not a, you don't get disqualified for that, because if there's blood, you're allowed to put on another, you can change. And that's not, I see that in there, but I don't know why that would be unless they hide it or something, but that's, you are allowed to go and change and have that extra uniform that they normally have without being disqualified.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do, I mean, I had that happen, and it was, they just put on another jersey, and that's okay. I didn't disqualify them or anything, but I see
You
that.
can't
but
do
I'm
it though if you got 5 fouls and then all of a sudden you go switch
Right.
jerseys. You know, that
Okay.
that would
Yeah,
be
that's,
different.
yeah, if there's
If you
blood.
fouled out
no.
and you switch your jersey to say to be somebody.
Absolutely.
So
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, because I had that happen. You can bleed and then switch out. But yeah, if you got 5 fouls, then no, you can't put on another jersey and say, now get a fresh 5 because I'm wearing number 10. Yeah, no. Doesn't work like that. All right, so I got a couple of clips, and Gina's gonna show them, and it's just not for my game. Obviously, I didn't have any, like I said, I wasn't a part of games that we had DQs, but we had I found a couple of interesting clips. And again, intentional fouls, disqualifying for all those plays are typically layered because you got to deal with coaches afterwards. You got to deal with, the fact that you got to contact your assigner. You got to be ready if there's other retaliatory acts by other players. So there's layers in that, and everybody has to be, on high alert as far as whether you're the calling official or not. You're still responsible for the players. You're responsible for everything that goes on and watching and getting information, particularly if you don't have a monitor. It's important to have information.
Tina, is there a play you want to go with first?
No, you can go to the one on the left. You can do the left one. One on the left.
This one?
Yeah, the one on the, I don't know, you're the one on the left. I see you. Yeah. Go ahead, play that. And just watch it through first. And did everybody get a chance to see that pretty good? You played pretty good too, Jan. It's some good Wi-Fi you got going on. Anybody want to walk me through this? Yes, there was a call on the floor, by the way. You blow the whistle, make a call. Anybody? I have to call on somebody. Uh-oh.
Was it a double foul or did they just call it on white?
It seems as though they call one from what I'm looking at. I don't know what the signal for double foul is in FIBA, but it looks like it was just going one way to me. But we would definitely, apply women's basketball rules. And if you feel that, it should be both, and there's no minimum of how many, fouls and stuff you can call. So it wouldn't hurt anything. I don't think it would hurt anything. What would you do? Is that me saying?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, what would you do?
I would like to go to the monitor because I thought it looked like a double foul. I thought Blue initiated with his shoulder, but then White upgraded it by wrapping his arm around his neck.
Okay. Now, do you think you would call a double intentional?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because for me, it just, both of those actions didn't look like a basketball play.
And would you be okay letting the coaches know that? Because I'm sure they're going to be like, hey, wait a minute, he's him first. And you know how coaches get, what do you mean? What?
Yeah, I'd still tell both the coaches, but I'd probably do like an intentional first, a double intentional, but go to the monitor to upgrade it to see if it's both disqualifying. Because I'd like how like the different angles, because at first I just thought it was white, but then seeing the different angle, I was like, wait, Blue did some slide crap there too.
Right, the slickeration, right? It's all good, right?
Hey, for clarification, we don't have a double intentional. So
right, not a double, but I mean intentional on both of them. That's what I mean. Like, would you call intentional on both, or would you just call regular foul? And how would you,
Okay.
Do you think it looks better too if you, because both acts are clearly, illegal acts, and definitely, can be intentional foul. And then you said you would look at the monitor to see about making it more than that. Lisa, you said you would look at the monitor and see about disqualifying both or one, or which one?
But well, is it possible? This is a question. Is it possible to have the intentional for both of them, but when you go to the monitor, you only disqualify one of them? Is that a possibility? Because like I feel like white action was completely worse than anything blue did, but still both of them are pretty bad in my opinion.
Yeah, blue's really not doing any kind of standard boxing out. He's just going straight in with the shoulder, like he's trying to maliciously take him out. So I'd definitely would be watching for that as well. Trying to lean on, hey, he instigated it, and how did he instigate it? Is he's laying a shoulder into his chest.
Correct.
Right.
So-
I couldn't
Not trying to
disqualify
put his
one
back to him.
and not disqualify the other. Like I couldn't send a disqualifying foul on white 31, but not do a disqualifying on blue. Because if we're going to be honest, how did this start? So we talk about start, develop, finish. It started by blue making the illegal contact that caused white to react the way that they did.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess
That's the way of looking at it. But just because permission to react the way that he did. So now let's not look at one trying to equal them out. If one act, even in the same instance, so the blue foul, yes, that was an unobserved intentional foul, right? It was excessive and unnecessary. So that was blue's action. That does not give white permission to act the same way. You understand what I'm saying? So white's action. So now let's just judge the action of white. Does the action of white, is it unnecessary, excessive? That's flagrant.
He clotheslines him.
Yeah, that needs to be dealt with differently because that's a more severe act. So in that, I would disqualify white. White would go home, and blue.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, white would go home or to the locker room, and blue would be penalized as well.
So I guess a good way of thinking about it is even though they're like you're giving intentional fouls to both players and they might happen at the same time. Again, not double intentional.
Right.
Think of them in terms of each is a separate act or a separate play. So then you can penalize one, not outside of the other, but within the same parameters of intentional or disqualifying. Does that make sense?
Hey, I have a question. I guess it's a kind of a clarifying question. And I'm looking at this from a couple of perspectives. One, as a former player, and two, as an official. As a former player, if I'm B, and I've been B in that situation, and you give a little shoulder to the guy cutting through. Now, you give that shoulder, that doesn't give white 31 the right to react so much more. If white hadn't reacted, would you still give blue player an intentional foul or just a common foul if it wasn't for the reaction of the player in white?
I would still go with intentional.
And not a blocking foul, not a blocking foul.
I would go intentional because he actually looks at him and just jumps in his way.
Yeah, he does. Look at him.
Depending on the temperature of the game, that's not even a screen. He's not even trying to screen him. He's just trying to give him a cheap shot.
Right.
And
that's an intentional foul to me, no matter what. Right.
Yeah.
No matter what, regardless.
So
yeah, he's not even trying.
I get it. I'm just trying to talk this through, and I'm just thinking as a player, how many times as a player have you given a shoulder or gotten away and made it a little extra hard to send a message, and then it's been called just a personal foul? Just cut it out. Don't do it again. But this becomes escalated because of the way the player in white reacted.
So Phil, also think about it in terms of how the officials react. Like you're
Yep.
saying, if you're saying that we call it an intentional foul and the player has done it to make a point, right? Well, so the officials can then make a point as well. If you're going to call it a personal foul, then you're sending one message. If you're going to call it an intentional foul, you're sending a different message. So outside of a player perspective, as an official, what message do you want to say with the call that you're going to give?
Right, I get it. You're right. So then does that mean then any type of contact like that, then the rest of the game we have to call those as intentional fouls?
I don't think that you can say that in black and white.
Okay.
I think that
No,
you have elevated your play calling because of this instance.
Right. That's one of those gray area plays, Phil, where it's
Yep.
not in the it's not in the book, and you just really have to feel the temperature of the game. And
Yep.
the blue player, he's probably a turd anyway.
Yeah,
You know what
they
I'm
could have
saying?
been going at each other earlier this quarter or this
And
half or previous
that's
half.
what it looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. And I mean, I don't know how much you guys watch Eurobasket or EuroLeague basketball, but those are some dirty rascals. They play extremely dirty. And so that right there, yeah, that's an intentional foul. And the second act would be a disqualifying foul. Do you understand that, Jocelyn?
I understand it. I understand why you're saying that. I just don't know, like, okay.
You're breaking up, Jocelyn.
I was just saying, like, I would want to know how we're going to explain that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yep,
you.
you're good now.
Okay. I just want to know how we're going to explain this to a coach, especially if we don't have monitor. How do we go and explain this to a coach, how we are blowing our whistle, we signaled a double foul, and we are upgrading both of them, but only one of them is going to be a disqualifying foul.
Because when 31 swings his left arm around, I can deem that a punch.
Yep.
I can deem that a punch.
Okay.
Because that is not a natural act, and he makes contact above the shoulders. I can deem that a punch.
Okay.
You can also use the rule book terminology. It's extreme, it's unnecessary.
Yeah, vulgar, abusive. Remember that, persistent, extreme, and it doesn't have to check all the boxes. It could just be one. It doesn't have to be all of them. But also too, when it is. But also too, you got to look at, this is a great opportunity, particularly if there's no monitor, for the crew to get together. You know, you send the players to their benches, but the crew has to come together and say, you know, what do you have? What do you have? Because you got to remember, there's 3 different angles on this. You have the official who called the play, the C, and then you have the lead who has a little bit of a view, but not much because the rebounder is right in front of them. The trail may have a little bit of that. So how would that conversation go, you know, in that huddle with the referees? Because you got to remember, with something like this, you have to set a tone. You have to, you know, say, hey, look, this is not going to be tolerated, and we're going to penalize it accordingly. And then how you going to go, like Jonathan said, you got to go explain to the coaches. Now, what if a coach, you have to be prepared for the response of the coach, because what if that's a high impact player? What if that's a player that averages 20 points a game and it's a, you know, 2-point game with 45 seconds left? Now they're done and you dumped them. So you got to, you know, remember that now the coach is going to be like, hey, wait a minute. We've been going to this player all day. They've been scoring and we would have went to them and now they're out. So you got to deal, it's layered, and you have to deal with everything that comes with it. And also too, you got to remember, I think, Jocelyn, I wouldn't have a problem with if we all came together and you disqualify both of them. I mean, at the end of the day, that contact is unnecessary. And you, like I said, 31 looks like a punch, but you could deem the shoulder that blew through is a punch with the shoulder. You know, that's rough because he looks at him and he targets him, in my opinion. He looks like he targets him. That wasn't a blockout. He looked for him. He didn't look for the ball or anything else. He targeted him and he threw his shoulder into him. So that could be seen a certain way as well. So It's important that the officials come together and say, hey, look, you know, and at the end of the day, if it serves the game to dump both of them, then hey, it is what it is. You can't, you didn't tell them to go, behave in that manner. And it will be a tough conversation to dump one and not the other. I totally agree. But I think if we're looking at it, and as officials, if we are in a huddle and we're saying, hey, look, okay, that swinging of the arm is a punch. Okay, but that shoulder, you can punch somebody with your shoulder. And you can look at it like, at the end of the day, if it serves the game, both of them are done. That keeps out confusion. And then obviously, yes, you call your assigner and stuff at the end of the game and explain what happened. And it's tough. It's a tough play, but
can I make one comment on this, Dr. Brown?
Sure, go ahead. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think if we look at it from the beginning, I feel like our trail was not in the best possible position. Stop it right here. The player that in blue felt like the offensive player pushed his arm out and cleared space to get that 3 off. And he puts his hands up like looking at the trail like, dude, you gonna let him do that? Fine, I'll take it into my own hands. See how the defender got kind of
pushed off. Yeah, he was a push off. Yeah, I see it.
It's a push off. And now watch the reaction of the guy that does the shoulder chuck.
He's like, okay, I'm gonna fix you, right? Yeah, he sure did.
Like, what the heck? And from the baseline camera view, you see it better. And I think it appeared that the trail didn't have the best look between the players in that situation. Might have been a little too high and therefore did not see that little clearing of space. And see number 4, he kind of put his hands up.
Yeah, like a little
like you're not gonna call that? Absolutely. So yeah, that's not a foul, then this isn't a foul. Take the shoulder.
All right, game on.
Exactly. Boom. Yeah, true.
That's my impression.
So then, Janine, would you deem that contact on by the offensive ball handler dribbler, would you deem that intentional as an unobserved and maybe go look at it?
No. But,
okay.
I just was trying to see why did this happen. I don't think that's intentional. I think it's a basketball play. I'm trying to clear space.
Just trying to pick your brain, my friend.
Well, I do not personally think it was excessive. Was it unnecessary? Yeah. But I tend to, if I'm going to upgrade, I'd kind of like it to be excessive and unnecessary. I think his momentum was going back. He just kind of cleared a little space. And the other guy didn't like it. But I think the trail was out of position to see it. I think the trail was too high.
I agree with Janine on this, but I also have a question on this because the person that, I don't know why the C marked the 3 when it first was shot, didn't cover their what's next responsibility. But my question is, shots off, it's been released, it goes in, and then we're calling a double foul. We don't count it because we still called a foul on the shooting team, correct?
Well, the ball doesn't go in though, does it?
No, I'm just thinking hypothetically, if the ball goes in because the shot was already released before we called a foul or our double foul, would we count the basket?
Yep.
Yeah, it's out of his hands.
Yeah.
His or her hands.
There's no control at that point.
Correct.
So in this play, I mean, if dumping those 2 is going to improve the quality of your game, then get rid of them. And I'm cool with that. Like Tasha said, a turd is a turd, just flush them. I totally agree with that. Now, if we're going to be pure, and maybe I was too pure with it earlier, as far as deeming it as 2 separate acts, calling I guess Blue just tried to make it look like it was an illegal screen, but he really did give him a cheap shot. So, like we said before, I mean, the score is 48-62 in the third period. 9 times out of 10, those 2 have gone at it before. And this is a very physical game. You can tell from the contact that's allowed, with the ball handler. And now we got the off ball stuff. Knowing the temperature of the game, you know, now to watch these officials and try to gauge if they're in position, we'll be on this play for 30 minutes because European officials are not like us. So let's just look at the play. And you know, the officials, this play right here, no, they're not in position. We don't. Go ahead, Keenan, my fault.
No, you're good. You're good. But so yeah, I think that. But this is one of that you have to really, really over communicate. If you have a monitor, then you can go back and really confirm a call that you know you had on the floor. And I would, like I said, I would deem both acts at the end of the day, you know, extreme. And like I said, for Blue, he targeted the guy and with that shoulder. And I, as a player, I can speak like fear. I've been, you know, blindsided and it hurts. It's not fun. And I mean, it is, you feel some kind of way. And, you know, and I guess he felt, and again, with that push off, Jenny made a good point that you guys not going to call it. Okay, well, it must not be illegal. So let me do X, Y, and Z. So I think with that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, there's nothing wrong with dumping them both because you are supported once you call your assigner and say, hey, we got rid of both of them. And I also think with the coaches, it would be a better conversation. Coach, we're going to penalize this act. Coach, we're going to penalize this act. And both of them are disqualified because I think if you disqualify one without the other, coach say, hey, but he pushed him. Well, what about that shoulder? You know, and I think in the heat of the moment, it'd be a tough time trying to rationalize one or the other. You know, at the end of the day, that's foolishness. The game doesn't deserve it. It's extreme, abusive, vulgar behavior. Both of them will be out of there. And I think as a crew, we're talking, you know, in the huddle, you know, we'll dump them both and then we'll go back and we'll break down film and look at it. But I think it will be something that at the end of the game, we can call our sign and say, hey, look, this is what they did. You can see what they did. We got rid of both of them. And I don't think it's going to hurt anybody getting rid of both of them, period, versus, you know, one or the other. You know, in my opinion, if I'm on that crew and when they ask me what I think or what I believe, it doesn't matter if I'm at the lead or if I'm the trail who's still at half court in DC or whatever, I'm going to come out, hey, it doesn't hurt anything to get rid of both of them. They both committed acts that are completely unnecessary, vulgar, abusive, and extreme. And we can just, you know, it'll serve the game. We can dump them both. And then the coaches can't get mad because, hey, you lost a player, you lost a player. It is what it is. And then we'll, you know, we'll just continue from there. Does anybody have any questions? Would anybody do anything differently or? Nope. All right, let's get the next one. All right, next clip. And you're looking in a post. I don't know if you're able to see.
Boy, nobody cares about helping them up, do they?
No.
Just leave them lay there. They just everybody walk away.
But think about it. Think about it. If he really got hit that hard, don't you think his nose would be bleeding?
Something will be coming out.
I mean, that's just me. I don't, yeah. But let's not judge the severity of it. We just judge the act.
Right.
He got shot out of a rocket. Like, oh my God.
Out of all types of fouls, I would never think of headbutting somebody for payback.
From someone who has gotten headbutted and broke her nose, it hurts. I will say that.
From somebody who has 2 young boys and has been headbutted before by even a 2-year-old, it hurts.
So those of you who have not been headbutted, I challenge you to go get head.
Jossie, come here. Let's go, Jossie.
Stop, Kev.
Kevin's gonna be handing them out, I guess.
Just go find anybody. Just say, hey, will you headbutt me, please?
Bell rung, for sure.
All right, so what we talking about on that one, Keena?
All right, well, first, again, I think when we're looking at an entire play, start, develop, finish, you got to remember, it's always something that precedes that play that causes a play. It's action, reaction. And it seems like there was a push from behind before, and then he got up and then with the headbutt. And I think it's important if we see acts of, illegal acts that we get all of it. And again, as officials, it's tough because you have to be able to see all angles. And that's where every official brings in a third or their third, if you will. Because maybe a player didn't like how he got pushed from behind, and then he get up and then he gets up and uses his head towards the other guy. So it's important, I think, to take one action into consideration when considering the act of the second act, if you will. And again, as officials, you may not have seen the first one, but maybe that truck can say, hey, he pushed him from behind. We had that. And maybe you deem that as intentional. Then maybe not a headbutt. Now you come with that headbutt. Now I can see that. Obviously, that's a DQ because that's vulgar, abusive, and extreme. And this is where, Kevin, when you're talking about they're not identical and you have one versus the other, and then maybe an intentional foul with that push in the back, and then definitely that headbutt is extreme, and that's a DQ.
But Keena, couldn't you upgrade the White's foul to disqualifying because he shoved the back of his head down?
You could.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's where you have that conversation. But that's why everybody brings in their third, and maybe, official may not see from, if I'm the trail and I see that player pushing from behind, I may just say, hey, he pushing from behind. We can at least make that an intentional. And then maybe the C can say, you know what? I saw the start, develop, finish. I saw the beginning, I saw the impact, and I saw his head move forward. And then you bring that piece in. If you're my C, you bring that piece in too. Because at the end of the day, if it serves the game, we can dump both of them. It's not going to hurt anything. They got other players on the bench. They got more.
You're dumping everybody.
Well, it keeps out confusion, and it doesn't hurt anybody.
And if they don't get out, she'll just headbutt them out.
And the thing is, remember, you bring in your part of the puzzle, and if you're the C and you can see that push from behind, and if you can see that contact, well, we're in our huddle. Hey, bring that in. Hey, you know what? He pushed him, and then he hit him in the back of the head. So, we got one getting hit in the back of the head, and then you got a person using his headbutt as a weapon. So we can dump them both. And again, it doesn't hurt anybody. It serves the game. When you see illegal acts, particularly in extreme nature, and you don't want those turds in your game. We don't. None of us do. And I think it's important as the officials that we send a message that this type of behavior will not be tolerated on our watch, period. The safety of the players is important, and these kind of acts will be penalized, period. And then that's why when we have our little powwow, we make a decision. And I think it's important that the officials, again, look unified. Hey, what are we going to do? This is what we have. Okay, you know what? An official, man, let's dump them both. We don't have time for this because we don't want one to look like if we let one stay in and then the other one say, well, he did that and now he's still in the game. How does that look? What kind of message that sends to the players? Like, well, wait a minute, versus we got rid of both of them and then we're going to continue to play, from there. And so it doesn't hurt anything, I think, but that's where that communication piece, because what if you're in a game and you don't have a monitor? You're not going to have the luxury of, we can go to the monitor and look and then take a look and then oh, we can slow it down and be over there all day and take our time. What if you don't have a monitor and then somebody goes down and then somebody gets up and reacts? You have to have the official knowledge, just, a referee to say, hey, this is what I saw over here. This is what I saw in the lead. And then you come together and say, you know what, does it serve the game? Dump them both. And then we'll look at the film, we'll break it down, but at the end of the day, those kind of acts cannot go unpenalized.
It's also important to know, who the star players are, because there are some coaches, honestly, it's not right, but some coaches will send a player in to be a disruptor. So if you have the seventh person on the bench on the team, they come in and they get into it with the starting two guard. So now you dumping them both, and that's the intention of it. The coach that put the sub in, he's not losing anybody. He's not losing any points. He's not losing any rebounds. He's not losing anything. But the other team, they're losing 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 block shots. Right. So, you know what I'm saying? It's the understand the ramifications of and the possibilities of it. That's why it's really important to know when your subs come in. When a substitute comes into the game, you have to understand that it's going to be a brand new game. Because subs come in, they either make the game better or they make the game worse. That's their job. They want to make it better, but bless their hearts, some of them just don't have the ability to do that.
Happy to get in the game.
Yeah, some of them are just, they're like Rudy right now. They just play.
Other than that free throw shooter coming in to shoot 2 and then, hey, see you later, you're done.
Exactly.
You're right.
Exactly. And so we have that's where our awareness comes in. And knowing that, all right, the sub is in. When the subs come in, you really want to give them special attention, because you don't know you don't know their purpose. They may come in, hey, she just ran off 10 straight points. Go put her on her ass.
Right.
Make sure when she get that 12th point, she feels it. You understand what I'm saying? So those are the things that we have to know and we have to pay attention to. That's just next level stuff.
No, I totally agree. You're absolutely right, because then you have that coach, that layer of it is right now you disqualified an impact player and it's a close game and the coach runs the offense through that person and the secondary option is not as good as the first option. And now the coach is like, wait a minute, now you get the situation like in Carolyn's game or whatever. Now you have to possibly give a coach a technical, because they're like, well, why you can't do it? And so now again, it's layers of this. It's not as simple as, we're going to dump them. But again, if that behavior, you have to go to that, that action. If it is beyond, if it's vulgar and abusive, it's like, you have to do what you have to do. But I think that's why you have 3 different voices coming in as officials to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And then you write that other one, this is an impact play, let's be ready for the coaches. When we make this decision, when we go over there, let's be ready, because this coach is already, steam is coming off their head. They already unloosen their tie and loosening up that jacket here. Be ready for the heat that comes with that. And that's okay, because that's our job. When the impact of our whistles and when we make a call, we have to be ready for everything that come with that. But you're absolutely right. We're dumping an impact player and somebody's on the bench whose job is to just foul. They're not losing anything. And so that it's a win situation for them, but I mean, that all of that is important. That's why we have to be, high alert. And as officials, communicating, over communicating, dealing with coaches, because you may have somebody who's just really good with dealing with coaches and say, hey, you know what, this coach is about to give it to us for this. So once we make a decision, this is what we're going to go with. Let's be prepared for the coach. And then, obviously contacting the signer and stuff afterwards. But I mean, this is all, most people are not going to have disqualifying fouls in your game. You just may not. You probably more than likely will have an intentional, through an upgrade. But this DQs, maybe, you may have 1 a year if that, but you may not have those. And so understanding, the process, understanding to deal with the tempers and the emotions that comes with that. Is important, and it's just always, good to just be ready. And that's why having these discussions just kind of helps us get ready. Do we have any questions or anything? Or
yeah, Keena, how can you train yourself to be a better official on slowing down? I'm probably the C on this. I make the call knowing it was a bang bang play too.
Mhm.
And like for some reason, I was like, I want to go and report this out. You know, instead of like literally, you got the call, you know the number. If you just stayed with it for a second to process first, you know. So how do you become a better official at just like training yourself to slow down when you blow your whistle?
You know what?
Make
This is
sure
a great
everybody
question.
hears out.
This is a great question. And I think for me, I have fast twitch muscles. So I'm already quick for me. And I'm not naturally a person that does things slow. So this is a great question because I'm always like, quick, five, boom, five, you know, like, wow. And I don't say, you know, when people say, you know, you talk too fast, I say, you listen too slow, you know, keep up, let's go, you know. But it took me a while, you know, to figure that out. And for me, I'm not naturally slow. And I'm like, like slowness bothers me, if you will. And I'm like, ugh. So for me, what I did, and I'm very fast all the time, you know, I take a breath. And so what it do when you process something, you have to take that breath, and that breath slows you down. So you may go foul, boom, 1, 2. And then by that 1, 2, you're looking at who committed the foul, who ball is going to be, where you're going to place the ball. Because you can stand there and call your foul. You don't have to run after you blow a foul. And I didn't understand it at first because I would just blow my foul and I got my information, I'm gone. You don't need to do that. I was always like that. That was me. Then I go, boom, blow, stop, you know. And they'd be like, it's showtime. Like, oh yeah, okay, nobody's doing nothing. They're waiting on me. And you be like thinking, okay, now you use that time to go, okay, this is my foul, and this is what I have. Okay, take the ball out here. And then take that extra second. It's not hurting nothing. Then you go over there, boom. Now you have what you have once everybody has dispersed. You know, if they go into the free throw line or if they want to get in the defensive position because it's out of bounds or whatever, once you see that it's okay and clear, okay, boom, then your partners will take over from there. But take an extra second. You don't have to take 10 seconds, but it's more like blow, boom, 1, 2, out of bounds spot, then take your steps or whatever now, and then when you get to the table, 1, 2, boom, blue, 2, 1, 2, push, 1, 2, out of bounds. You know, take that 1, 2 in your head. For me, I was always quick, so it worked for me because I was not about anything slow. Like I just irritated the dickens out of me, slowness. So that's a great question for me. Like, oh my God, like I just, and then it makes you on tape. I just looked like I was like, where am I running to? Like, why am I so? But then once I start 1, 2, and for me, I majored in communication in undergrad. And it was the wrong thing to do because when I had a 2-minute speech, I was done in 30 seconds. And I was like, how did I get a D? You're it's a 2-minute, you got to stretch. And so then what I started doing is if you see how I'm talking like this and I'm slowing down, and to you all, it's probably seeming like I'm speaking naturally and slowly, but it's agonizing to me because this is so slow and it's killing me. But I'm actually going slow so that you can understand. And I learned that in communication. I was like, because it sounds normal and slow to me, but to other people, it was too quick and I didn't understand. And it took me a while. And I don't know if you guys are too young to remember, but you know the micro machine commercial where the guy had the little cars and he talked real fast. That was my favorite commercial because I talk like him and I can relate. And I heard him perfectly. I'm like, oh wow, I hear everything he said. Everybody was like, whatever. But I'm like, that was me in my mind. It was that fast twitch muscles going so fast. And so what I did was, when I stretch my words out and I talk like this, it's really slow. It's painful for me, but the listener appreciates it because they understand what I'm saying. See how I can articulate and I can talk to my students because they were like, what are you saying? And I was like, you can't hear me. And I was like, no, it was me. It wasn't them. It was my ass. So when you slow down, boom, 5, 1, 2, out of bounds, 1, 2, boom. Always give you that mental count in your head and it'll slow you down. But thank you for asking. That was a perfect question.
Thanks, Kina.
You can also just I think when I was working with Kina, I think we just, once you blow your whistle, everything stops. Everything stops. And take a deep breath. 3, 2, 1, showtime. In that 3, 2, 1, you're getting all of your information. 3, 2, 1, showtime. Because now once the show starts, it has to go fluid. It has to go, it has to be fluid with it. It's got to have a nice flow. because you don't want to start reporting and then you have to turn and look back.
Right.
But during, during that 3-2-1, now you're assessing what's going on there, right? 3-2-1. All right, 14's good. Boom, boom. All right, then I can leave. And now I start my process. And now I'm going to the table. I'm reporting. 8 steps to report, turn around, administer. It's a lot of practice. It is a lot of practice, you all, to get that down. It's not, I mean, if you're a fast person, it's not going to happen overnight. But it can, but it takes practice. You just can't go out there and be like, hey, I want to referee. I want to call foul slow like Kevin. I want to call foul slow like Keenan. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen like that because Kevin didn't, you know what I'm saying? Jim may have been the only person that started off, like that.
That's totally accurate, and I will always be slow.
Yeah, it's like you gotta put jumper cables on Jim's. Like, okay, you can go now.
I'm still alive, guys. I'm still alive.
Right, like check her heartbeat. She blew her whistle and then got stuck.
Okay, Kevin, that's enough.
All right, it just takes practice though. Realistic, it takes practice, and it's not going to happen overnight. And the more you do it, the more you'll become familiar with the times that you don't do it. You're like, damn it, I went too fast, or I didn't get all the information. Especially in bang bang plays. First of all, make sure that the house is clean. I mean, you guys, everybody went to college. Everybody went to a college party. When the cops showed up, they didn't leave the place until everybody, right? When the cops showed up, the party was over. The cops stayed right there until everybody left. So you are the cop at the college party. And you stay there until everybody leaves. When everybody leaves and they're safe, boom, now I can go and I can do my reporting just like the cop can leave and do his paperwork. All right. Sometimes I even, like, if I go into the bunch and I'll tell them, all right, guys, police is here. Party's over. They laugh about it, but they relate and they leave and they move. So it just takes practice.
Don't forget to breathe. Once you breathe, that'll slow you down. That
Yeah.
inhales and exhale will slow you down really quick.
Yeah.
And you got the best walk already, so you're already good to go. You already know. If y'all ain't seen Jocelyn walk, then you guys are in for a treat. So she already got the walk down. So wait till she pop. It's a wrap. They're gonna be like, let's go.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
all to Whitney Houston.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got one more, Keenan?
No, I think that was it. That was what we do. That was
That's
it. We
it.
had an hour. Yep. We didn't want to keep people long, so people are working and dealing with things. But if anybody have anything to add,
Did you say any cuss words during that?
What'd you say about it?
Did you say any cuss words?
Nope. How you like that? You ain't ready.
Come on. You
ain't ready.
Good, hard.
Check my birth certificate. Remember, I'm around kids all day. I can hold my tongue. That's later.
That's because you was talking slow.
I must be a bad influence. I must be a bad influence. I bring the dog out in you.
I know how to code switch.
No.
I have my professional voice on.
Is there anything that we have covered so far in every session that we've had that someone was unclear about, or someone had? So everybody is good on everything that we've covered. Because I know if you guys aren't on this call, you're on another call. So you put it on another call, which is great. And hopefully all the calls that you are on, hopefully this call is matching up with what's being said and what's being taught in the other ones. So you guys aren't getting 5 different messages. If I pray that, you guys would tell us if you guys were getting conflicting messages or conflicting teachings? No, that's not the case. All right, cool. You can, okay, wait. Oh, you can, let's have some real talk for about 10 minutes. You can stop recording.